get into what the left is doing, what the right is doing, and why Black moderates are their own thing, right? We are a category all our own. And I'm going to tell you why not only should Blacks return to being moderates, right, which we always have been moderates. We are certainly moderate in our actual values and ideologies, but our voting and the demands that we're making don't always reflect that. I'm going to talk about why we need to go back to where we came from and how we uniquely are positioned to put this country back together. The first question is, what is a moderate? In the first place, a moderate is a forgotten force, right? They are the people in the middle. I'm going to say first and foremost that moderates are the true patriots, right? We are the ones who put the country before anything. We're not leftist and we're not rightist. We are directly in the middle, and it's the most valuable place that you can be. Okay, so just for perspective, this image shows you where moderates are. Okay, moderates are in that little square in the middle, which are both very close to the center intersection line. We share that space with Asian Americans. So a lot of people don't know that Black Americans and Asian Americans have very similar ideologies. We have very similar values. We have very similar things that we want. We also are voters who are very low maintenance, right? We tend to vote on just a couple of issues, and once those issues are satisfied, we're good. The way this chart is structured, on the top, the y-axis, socially liberal on top, socially conservative on the bottom, the x-axis, economically liberal on the left, and economically conservative on the right. You'll notice from this picture that Blacks and Asians are in the middle. White non-college graduates, they are in the bottom right-hand corner. That is the most conservative corner. The top left is the most liberal. And as you can see, we are kind of right in the middle of these two things. Okay, so I want you to look now at these two stars that I just put. These are sort of the extremes of both camps. The argument that I'm going to make is that very few people are actually at these extremes, but the people who are there are the most vocal, and they're pulling everyone towards them. But the way they're doing it is not by ideological impressiveness or the strength of their arguments. They're doing it by fear and bullying and shaming, canceling, right? All of those things. So we're going to talk about that. Okay, by the way, my name is Gray. Thank you for watching my channel, Counsel Gray. If you like what you see here, I encourage you to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and leave a comment. I am responding to all reasonable comments. All right, let's get into it. So what is the Black moderate tradition? Okay, traditionally, Black moderates have been faith-focused, family-focused, deeply pragmatic, often left-leaning, but not culturally radical, right? That's why we are slightly to the upper left of the center point, but still within that moderate vote, okay? Now, white moderates, on the other hand, have been traditionally civic-minded, patriotic. Sometimes they can be libertarian-leaning. They tend to be suspicious of both state control and race baiting. So we do share some overlap with white moderates, but we are a unique faction in and of ourselves for a host of reasons. And when we get pulled, remember I told you the blue and the red star are pulling us in different directions, we often get pulled in different directions. Okay, so the biggest mistakes that I think Black moderates have made, and why people, when I did a search for Black moderates, I literally found one thing. There was one YouTube video, and the woman who was being interviewed, I already knew of her work. Nobody is talking about Black moderates, right? Nobody is talking about the fact that people have always said that Blacks have always been conservative. We have not always been conservative. What we have been is moderate. And in a sea of liberal types, we can appear that we're conservative, but we're not. So the biggest mistakes that moderates have made has been, first of all, allowing ourselves to be pulled to the far left, right? We have allowed ourselves to be pulled to the far left by new and young Americans, right? Young people, new Americans. And this has given this has given the world the impression that we are to the far left, that we are all very liberal, and we're not. And I'm going to show you why we're not and why it makes no sense for us to be. Also allowing ourselves to be pulled to the far left by the LGBTQIA plus community, right? The alphabet soup. They are so far to the left of most Black people, but somehow we've become clumped together with them. We have nothing in common with these voters. And in fact, they just cost us the election. Okay. And the alphabet soup that is very far to the left, even traditional gays have issues with them. Even traditional gays believe that they have cost us politically more than they have given to us. Another mistake that Black moderates have made, fighting racism and conservatism as if they're the same thing. And they're not. The problem right now is that conservative values and the entire Republican Party has been so besieged by racists that they're almost synonymous now. But they really are not. They really are not. Okay, another mistake that Black moderates have made, and I hate to say it, but not dropping our intractable underclass. There is an underclass of Black people, a small percentage, that has taken such center stage on the national stage and the world stage that we have allowed the entire world to think that Black people are a monolith and that this is what they are, right? Other groups do a much better job than Blacks do at showing the world that they are not a monolith. That there are class divisions, that there are education divisions, that there are economic, social divisions. We have not done this. We have an intractable underclass that we have allowed to be our representatives on the world, to the world. Now, there's a lot of problems with this, and we're going to get to some of them a little bit later, because they are the primary complaint that the most racist conservatives have about us. But I'm not delusional. If we didn't have that, there would be some other complaint. But a big mistake Black moderates have made is not dropping this intractable underclass, letting them fend for themselves, letting them figure out what they're going to do. Okay. Another mistake that we've made is getting distracted from our traditional roots. Right? Black people have never been liberal. Never. Certainly not far left. Our traditional roots are in the church. We have about 3 values that we actually care about, and we're going to get to those in a minute. The other mistake that Black moderates have made is letting others freeload on our fights. Whether it's women, whether it's gays, whether it's immigrants, whether it's the disabled, they have all benefited from the work that we have done, but have not necessarily contributed to the work that we have done. So what that looks like is we're dragging an entire subset of the US population. They are literally riding the coattails of the work that we've spent the last 100 years doing. We are dragging them. And we're seeing now that when we have needed them, they have not been available to us. But what they have done is they have advanced their own group interests on our coattails. Okay, so this is another one of the mistakes that we've made. Another mistake, and I guess this is mistake number 10 or something like that. You guys, I'm going to take comments about this topic. If you have a question about anything else, you can put it in the chat for those videos. Okay, so the other mistake that we've made is letting politicians think that we're a foregone conclusion. Here's the thing, Blacks have always been right in the middle. Therefore, both politicians from both sides saw that we were available to them if they talked our talk. They all thought that we could get the Black vote if we just give them something. This is done now. The Democrats, the far left, and the politicians who pander to them, because remember, I said they have made it very, very painful on the two extremes to not take up their positions. Because the politicians are so beholden to those extreme groups, the Democrats ignore us and take us as a foregone conclusion. The Republicans also ignore us, assuming that we're going to vote with the left. But this has never been the case. We have always been the group, and Asian Americans, we have always been the groups that either side could get if they talked sensible policy to us. But we have forgotten this role that we've played. So anyway, those are the mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to get into right now, I'm going to get into what's wrong with the right and what's wrong with the left. So if you're sensitive, if you're about to get your panties in a bunch, if you're like dedicated to either of these two extremes, if I were you, right now is the time for you to check out, because I'm getting into everybody. Okay, let's start with the right. And when I say what's wrong with the right, and we're going to talk about the fallacies that they're operating under, etc. When I say what's wrong with the right, I'm going to talk about what's wrong with the right for Black moderates, right? I'm going to talk about why we are not right. And then I'm going to talk about why we are not left. So what's wrong with the right? The biggest problem with the right now, as it's representing itself, is that they are so obsessed with their fear of loss and zero-sum thinking. They are so obsessed with the idea that they are about to lose something, or that they are losing something, that they can't think straight. Because thinking straight would say, how can we grow the size of the pie instead of fighting over small pieces of a small pie? They are obsessed with what they are losing. And that's because they view the world as a zero-sum game. And this zero-sum thinking says, in order for every unit that you gain of benefit, I lose a unit of benefit. And once you're locked into that thought, you can't be creative. But here's the thing. They think everybody is taking their stuff. They are convinced. But I'll tell you this, if I were a middle-aged white man or a young man looking towards being middle-aged, I also would be scared. I also would be upset, because guess what? It is happening. The very thing they're afraid of, sorry, it's happening, but here's why. Because you took so much all along, you have never been willing to share. And so people are fighting and taking for themselves what you fought for before and took for yourself. So that's not the answer. Fighting back and forth over pennies is not the answer for anybody. The answer is to grow the size of the pie. Okay, so what's wrong with the right is that everything they do is based on this existential fear that they're losing. It's all coming undone, that their status is fleeing. So they're fighting to preserve their legacy spaces by keeping other people out. Unfortunately, it's often racially driven, cultural panic, not policy. It's anger, it's outrage, right? I was watching a guy on being interviewed yesterday, and he kept talking about how afraid white people are of Black men, and therefore, right? And so he never once thought of a solution to the problem. He just kept saying, we have to talk about this. We need to give language to this. But he never put forth an idea. He never suggested a solution. He never asked anybody if they had a solution. All he did was stoke fears of what was about to happen to him. Okay, let's see what's wrong with the left. There's a lot wrong with the left. There's a lot of reasons why moderates need to steer clear of far left thinking. The far left is obsessed with radical inclusion, identity theory, changing the language. One of the ways that they have controlled and canceled other people is by saying, If you don't use the language that we say you have to use, if you don't use the language that we have commandeered from the English language and taken ownership of, then it's going to be very costly to you. The other problem with the far left is that they believe in a limitless purse. They believe that there's no end to the money that this country can throw at problems. Whereas in the middle, we understand that fiscal policy needs to make sense. One of the things that we might observe in the middle is that how the purse gets allocated, we have a problem with that. But we do recognize that there is a limited purse. The other problem with the left is that they feel like they're fighting to open doors that they've traditionally been excluded from. And that's true. But sometimes it's unrealistic, it's symbolic, it's performative, right? It's all these problems. It's chaotic, it's high drama. It's not, hey, let's come to the table and talk. Neither extreme wants to come to the table and talk. They both want to yell, right? And so what are they doing? We've got, and by the way, both the extremes are generally white people. It's white people fighting each other, shooting bullets over the heads of everybody in the middle, and we're ducking, trying not to get caught in it. Okay, so here's the fallacies that these people are living under. There's two great fallacies breaking our country apart. Both extremes are operating under big fallacies that everyone can see but them. The right-wing fallacy. This is the core fallacy that I believe is driving all of the anger that we're seeing from these people. And I talked about it before, but I'm going to name it here. Your gain means my loss. So instead of growing what's available, we're going to trick and connive, block, steal, so that you don't gain. And if you do gain, we're going to take it back. Now, that's the racism driving this, which is why I'm going to talk in a little bit about there are some very appealing conservative values. There are some very appealing liberal values, right? And we know that liberal does not mean Democrat and conservative does not mean Republican. They often go together, but one's a political party and the other's an ideology. But right now, the beauty of left-wing ideology is so commandeered by weirdness, the weirdness on the far left. The beauty of conservative ideology, right? There are parts of both sides that could be appealing to Black people and traditionally have been appealing to Black people. But on the right, it is so in the grip of racism that we're being driven away from values that could be really helpful to our communities. So this is the problem with the right wing right now. This zero-sum game and these racial divisions. By the way, if you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and leave a comment. All right, let's get into the left-wing fallacy. The left-wing fallacy, like I said, is that there's always more money. And if you don't support us or give us everything we're asking for, change your language the way we want, you are being cruel. You are not a safe space. You are assaulting us, right? So they are ignoring economic trade-offs. They're demanding safe spaces. But if you ever go into a room full of LGBTQIA plus and you say or do anything that is not 100% in support of what they're saying, you will find yourself in the unsafest space you can imagine. So they want a safe space for themselves. The right wing wants upward mobility for themselves. Everybody's values only apply to themselves. But here's the thing, the Black moderate, none of these are our issues. We're going to get into the issues of the Black moderate soon. Okay, so part part of what we're seeing on the right, the right wing side, right? This idea that there's this existential threat to our very being, right? We're seeing that in the anti-DEI stuff. We're seeing that in immigration, fear mongering, that they're replacing us rhetoric, clinging to cultural supremacy and historical grievance and all this kind of stuff. Okay, it's ridiculous. All right. Okay, so here's why Blacks need to return to moderate politics. And this is important. It's not even just about, right? This, like from a strategic standpoint, this is not even just about the views. Okay, from a strategic standpoint, Blacks need to return to moderate politics because A, it's the best way to get our needs met. Because when we stay in the middle, politicians from both sides have to see us as in play. They have to pay us attention, and they have to recognize that they could get us if they just stop being so crazy, if they speak to one of our issues, right? Like I said, we are not high maintenance voters. Give us one thing and you can get our vote. We don't need everything like the extremes do. So this is the best way to actually get our needs met. Number two, it's the best way to quiet the extremes. The more we talk in the middle, the closer in the politicians feel safe enough to move. But if nobody's in the middle, the politicians don't feel safe being reasonable. They don't feel safe meeting the needs of the people in the middle. We have to let them know that if they don't meet our needs, they're going to be in as much trouble as they think they're in now if they don't meet the extremes. Because otherwise, nobody talks to us. Nobody meets our needs. People say, why are Black people sitting it out right now? It's because none of these issues have anything to do with us. There are no issues on the table that are affecting Black people. The other reason that we need to stick to the middle is because the left is adding in too much extra stuff. We have three needs. We're going to get to them in a minute. We have three things that we care about. Everything else is extra. And it's dragging us down. Not that we don't care about these issues, because we do, but they are not our primary issues. They may be the primary issues of other people, but they are not our primary issues. Immigration, for example, is not primary to Black people. The alphabet soup, that is not a primary issue of ours. We've always had these people in our community. We've always had them in our families. We've loved them. We've had Thanksgiving dinner with them. This is not our primary issue. The other reason that we need to be moderate and be vocally moderate is that the right is trying to affirmatively block our progress. They don't want to give up anything. So we can't side with them. So when you see these Black people being conservatives, Lord have mercy. We have nothing in common with these people. Yes, we both recognize that there is an intractable underclass in the Black community, and we're going to get to that in a minute. But if you really want to solve the problem, why are these Black conservatives creating these YouTube channels to bash Black people and get white views and white audience? If you really wanted to help Black people, what are you doing to help Black people other than going on podcasts for your white audience and bashing them? Black people have no business in the conservative party as it stands today, because it is synonymous today with racism and hatred of Blacks and commitment to taking from Blacks everything that Blacks have ever had, everything they ever gain, and everything they will gain. But not just that, also with beating out of Black people whatever drive they may have. I don't understand Black conservatives. I don't. And I especially don't understand the ones who get on platforms and lambaste Black people. I don't get it. Another reason we need to return to the middle is because by not severing our ties with the left, the far left, we are fighting the right. We are fighting the racism and the greediness of the right while dragging the entire left. They literally are like an anvil around our ankles. We are literally dragging all of these people. We have to let them go. The other thing is that extreme behavior draws to itself extreme behavior. So the reason everybody on the extreme is yelling so loudly is because the other extreme is yelling loudly. We don't need to be in that. That's not us. Okay. So here's the thing. What's wrong with our country? This is our country. This literally is our country splitting in half. The extremes are fighting for ownership of space, right? The right is saying this country was made for us. There's been a number of studies in the 2020s that support this idea, that they believe that this country was not just founded for them, but many of them still believe that it is for them. That is fundamentally that is their foundational belief about this country, that this is a white man's country. The far left feels like you've excluded us for too long, and our ways and our feelings and our pronouns and our, right, all this stuff. None of that is our fight. Okay. The center is under siege. So here's the crisis of meaning that's happening on the extremes. And I asked the question, how many standard deviations away from the middle is too damn many standard deviations away? Part of what's fueling the anger on the right is feeling that they used to be the standard. They used to be the default. They used to be the norm. Right? They were the vision of what people thought about when they thought of America. And they're losing that, right? That was unspoken. When you thought of a politician, there was an image. When you thought of a judge, there was an image. When you thought of a doctor, there was an image. And it looked generally like white males. So now without that, they're losing their sense of identity. If we're not the lawyers, doctors, and Indian chiefs, then who are we? And then you add on top of that the recession of 2008, COVID, and people really actually did lose things, right? They weren't, a lot of the loss is imaginary, but they actually are losing. They're losing their homes, they lost their careers, they lost their savings. These people are really angry. Like I said, if I were a middle-aged white man today, I too would be angry because it is happening. So when your savings are gone, your identity is challenged, your values are rocked. Extremism, it doesn't look like a threat. It looks like a lifeline. That's why they're clinging, right? You've got white people on the far left and white people on the far right, and they're all clinging to these identities, fighting for them. But these are not our issues. Okay, so what are Black moderate issues? We are simple issue voters. That's it. We're not complicated. Here they are. Education. We want to educate our children where we want to, with decent textbooks and school buildings. We want to be able to live where we want and live safely and comfortably. And then we want to be left alone to thrive. That's it. Because here's what we know. If you leave, and here's what everybody knows, right? If you leave Black people alone and you let them figure it out, Black people will rise to the top, period. Name an industry that Black people have not made meaningful contributions to, have not risen to the top of. Just leave us alone and let us thrive. That's all we want. That's all we want. But we've got two extremes trying to block this, right? We've got the far left wanting the gains in education by flying here, right? They want the gains in education that we fought for. They want the housing that we fought for. They want to set up businesses in our neighborhood. That's some of them. That's another video. And then the right, the far right, they don't want us to have any of it. They don't want to leave us alone. Not only do they want us to get it, but if we accidentally somehow stumble across it and pull it off, they're going to burn it to the ground. If we focus on these core issues, educating our children, housing our families, and building our financial position. We need nothing else. Now, on the right side, these have never been our issues. Never. These have never been our issues. Immigration, not our issue. LGBTQIA+, I don't know what all those letters are. Not our issues. Your pronouns, not our issue. Abortion has never been our issue. We have our children, even when they're teenagers. We have never been on this abortion issue. Black people have never been big abortionists. You did two things. Either you had that baby, or you got sent down south or out west or up north until you had the baby, and then you came back. We have never aborted babies. It's not our issue. But this is an issue that the left is dragging us into. We handle unwed mothers, teenage mothers, late life babies. We handle all of it. The other thing is inflation. Inflation sucks, but it has never been our issue. And I'll tell you why, because we make a way anyway. The other thing is that Black people, right? There's this old saying, you've probably heard this. Black people are always in a recession. We don't even notice recessions. So this thing about inflation and recession, Black people have always weathered these things. These are not our issues. But yet, we are getting dragged into these issues because we're not standing on business about the things that really matter to us. Under education, you could ask about this student loan issue. Now, people are very split on this student loan issue. But here's the thing, and this is important to Black moderates. Whether or not it's student loan forgiveness or whatever the other issues are, Black moderates are very aware of the fact that lots and lots of government money is given out. Loans are forgiven. Low interest rate business loans are given. They are not given equally to Black people. So this has to do not just with education, but also with being left alone to thrive. Stop trying to raise interest rates because of the color of our skin. Play fair, shoot straight. That's all the Black moderate wants. All this stuff on the right is a distraction from what we want. And because we let these other issues bog us down, we now have nothing. There is no Black moderate issue on the table right now. None. And that's our fault. That's our fault. Okay? This is not us, right? This is somebody else's problem. But the fact that the world thinks that they are aligned with Black people, that's our fault. Back to this guy. This is not us. This was Hitler's haircut in 1931. This is Jake Lang's haircut in 2025. Jake Lang is the guy who just tried to have a protest called Protect White Americans. The rally had like 4 people there, maybe 10. I'm sorry, does he look a little bit like Hitler? Does he look like he's intentionally trying to look like Hitler? I feel for these guys. I hope they find some place to sleep. But this is not our issue. So for the right and for Republican and conservative politicians to lump us in with this issue, we are not new Americans. We have passports. We have birth certificates. We have our immunizations. This is not us. Now, like I said, there's beauty on both sides. And we're going to talk about how, if they weren't so tainted by the weirdness on the left and the racism on the right, we actually could be a good voting bloc. But we're the only ones who see it. So let's talk about the beauty of conservative values. Family values, check, we agree. Fiscal prudence, check, we agree. The rule of law, check, we agree. We believe in safety. We believe in paying the consequences for your activity. Local autonomy, we believe in that. And entrepreneurial grit. Black people are the most entrepreneurial people, in part because we've had no choice. You leave some Black entrepreneurs alone for a little while and come back and see what they've created. We already have so many examples of it. Here are some beautiful liberal ideals. Social safety nets. Social safety nets, right? If you fall on hard times, and we all do, no matter what side of whatever you're on, it would be nice to have a social safety net. Now, nobody wants to abuse it, but we all agree that it should be there. Civil rights, and I put in capital letters, for all. Dissent and protest, right? We believe nobody marches and protests like Black people. I feel like we invented that. We should get a patent on it. Nobody does it like us. We believe in that. We believe in national responsibility. We believe that it is the job of Mother America to take care of her people within bounds. We believe in collective compassion. These are beautiful liberal ideals. These are beautiful conservative ideals, right? There's nobody who can say that these things are not good. They are. But why are they so complicated? Why can't people just honestly say that these 10 things are good? And then we come to the table and try to figure out a way to make them all happen. Here's the cost of extremism, right? It keeps us from being able to see that those 10 sort of moderate values are valuable. It also considers compromise to not be a strength, right? We have lost seeing the art of compromise as a strength. We have lost listening, right? The art of listening as a civic virtue. We have lost having a shared national identity, right? In us against them. We have moved, right? We have let the extremes move us into us against us. And it's wrong. Okay. You guys may remember the Biden backlash. Now, this was when Biden was running for president against Trump, but he wasn't even there yet. This was in the Democratic convention during the Democratic debate of the candidates. He said that he used to work with people on both sides of the aisle to get things done. Do you remember the backlash? Cory Booker crying, Kamala Harris tearing up. They raked him over the coals. And nothing has been done since. But isn't that the whole point of governance? That's the beauty of being in the middle. If everybody comes to the middle, there's so much that can get done. And that's what Biden was saying. Biden is a true moderate. He's saying, I'll step over the line this time. I'll meet you there. You step over the line next time. And let's fashion something that rational, sane people on both sides can come to terms with. What is wrong with that? How have we lost that? I don't understand. And we didn't support Biden when he said that. We let our far left crying politicians, literally Cory Booker crying, we let him be the spokesperson for rational thinking Black people. I love Cory Booker, I do, but no, he's too far to the left and therefore unhelpful. Okay, the common enemy is the extremes, not grown Black men crying on national TV because Biden said that he could put together nonpartisan deals. Right? The far left and the far right, they don't just disagree, they despise each other. They flatten humans into ideology. Either you're with us or you're against us, right? Is you is or is you ain't. They punish complexity. And that is not sustainable. You see where it has gotten us. It's also not civilized. So somehow we let these people convince us that we are each other's enemies. So we no longer have common enemies. We are each other's enemies. It's ridiculous. We have got to get back. All right. If you're still here, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and leave a comment. I am subscribing to all reasonable comments. All right. So how can we be less extreme? And this is for everybody. If you are a far to the left, if you are far to the right, Get over yourself. Give it up. It's not working. History has shown us repeatedly it does not work. You spend 4 years or 8 years going far in one direction, and then you spend the next 4 or 8 years undoing all of that. In the meantime, nothing really gets done. It makes no sense. All right. So how can we be less extreme? The first one is audit your own beliefs. Right. And I can tell you, I have had a YouTube channel for 7 days. And I wish I could say this to everybody in my thing. Audit your own beliefs. Ask yourself who taught you that and why. Is it helpful? Is it not helpful? Does it bring people together or does it separate people? Talk to people who disagree, not necessarily to debate, but to try to understand. Now, I don't want to sound Pollyanna here because I also happen to have a very moderate personality, right? I don't have extreme views. I don't have an extreme personality. So this may be easier for me than it is for others. But you have to understand that being reasonable is in everybody's self-interest. It is in your self-interest to get something, to get a part of something, than to get all of nothing, okay? And stop rooting just for your team. Start rooting for solutions. Start rooting for the truth. The other thing, embrace, I don't know. It's okay to say, I don't know. And that includes when somebody wants you to disagree with them and when somebody wants you to agree with them. You don't have to agree with a position. You don't have to be afraid to say, let me think about that. I don't know if my position aligns with that position. Let me think about it. The other thing is that certainty, I'm positive, there's no gray area. It's all black and white. It's associated with low intelligence. Do you know that? The fastest way to tell that somebody is uneducated and rigid and low intellect is how fast they lock into a position, right or wrong. It's low intelligence. Don't let it be you. Okay? The other thing is recover nuance, right? Two things can be true at the same time. Not everything is a you versus me or left versus right, a blue versus red and up versus down. See the gray areas. And the other thing is get your sources from across the spectrum. Allow yourself to at least hear what the other side is saying. Because what I find is that when these things meet in the comments, it's very explosive. It's chaotic. It's obnoxious. This is how you be less extreme. Like I said earlier, COVID and the 2008 recession have so destabilized people psychologically, financially, emotionally, that people are behaving extremely strangely. There have been studies done that show that when people are primed with economic uncertainty, that means that when they're taking the psychological test, an environment was created for the test takers that primed them to feel economic uncertainty. What they found when people were primed to feel economic uncertainty is that their eyesight literally got better, and they were better and more easily able to discern slight differences in skin tone. Okay, let me say that again. When you believe you are having economic uncertainty, your eyes, right, physiologically, your eyes change. You can better discern slight differences in skin tone. Now, why is this important? A, because we are currently in a real situation where people are feeling destabilized. But also because it means that your body responds to lack by getting clearer about who is tribe and who is not. Okay, let me say that again. What it means that your eyesight gets better able to discern slight variations in skin tone. Because you've been primed, like literally your eyesight gets better when you feel economic pressure, because it helps you to identify who is like you and who is not like you, so you can tag up. So when people say that race is a social construct, I don't know. This kind of shows that it's sort of physiological, that God may have made us this way. There was tribalism in the Bible. I mean, right? But this is literally, your eyesight improves. You can tell that this person is likely genetically similar to me based on their skin, and this person is not, right? So this is where we are. Tribalism and economic uncertainty. When your savings are gone, your identity is challenged, and your values are mocked, which everybody feels like their values are being mocked. Extremism doesn't look like a threat. It looks like a lifeline. And if you go back to that chart, and we're going to see it again, who are the most conservative, far right, batshit crazy people amongst us? Uneducated white people. White Americans, especially those without wealth or higher education, have gone from being the unspoken default to feeling like a cultural afterthought. Not only have they lost their money, they don't have money, they don't have higher education, they also have lost status, and they don't know what to do about it. Let's get back to this guy. This is Jake Lang. This is a very vocal white supremacist who swears he has so many black friends and he loves black people. Maybe he does, but he is certainly imitating Hitler's aesthetic, right? I gave him a little mustache here. Now, if he had this mustache on, does he not look just like Hitler? I'll do you one better. I superimposed their faces on top of each other. Are they not the same person? Has he not reconfigured his appearance to look like this person? This is what I'm talking about on the far right. They are so hungry for identity and so fearful of loss, so fearful of black people, that they are clinging to characters like Hitler, okay? But now he's not the only one. He clearly, however, has taken this poster to the barber shop and said, make me look like Hitler in 1931. And while I was researching for this video, I did find something. You can probably find it yourself. There is a book that you can take to the barber shop about how to get a Hitler haircut. I kid you not. This is why black moderates are being driven away from conservatism, when we would naturally agree with some of their highest values. Because right now we can't get to those values unless we go through this. And this is their problem, right? So the politicians, because we have not been a vocal moderate, and we've allowed the politicians to lump us with the far left, conservative and Republican politicians who could meet us in the middle, who could be moderate themselves and get our vote, have already written us off because they don't want to have to answer to this guy and his ilk. And that's our fault, because we haven't let them know that if you just work with us, we will protect you too. Here's another, this one here. This is Hitler, I'd say 1934. This guy's literally fashioning himself after Hitler. And the politicians feel beholden to these people. This isn't just a political fight for them. It's a turf war over identity, legacy, belonging. One side fears being replaced or killed by young black men. The other side is tired of being erased and doesn't give a crap about black men. The far right feels disinherited, but that only happens when you feel like you were entitled to inherit the bounty. And then the far left feels historically dispossessed and weird, right? They're doing all the things over there. None of this is our issue. Here's what I would say as a moderate. If America is only in inheritance, then someone always has to be left out. Always. It's going to either be us, it's going to be the people on the far left. Someone is going to be left out. But here's the thing. Remember, I said that the far left is really a white populace. So they're going to inherit something. It might not be their pronouns and all the language and stuff that they want, but they're going to inherit something. For black people, not only are we not inheriting the country, but we also are not inheriting large amounts of resources either. Right? So we really have nothing in common with any of these groups. However, if we view America as an invitation, then everyone has to bring something to the table. We make that a requirement, that if you want to come here, you have to bring something to the table. Black people, if we had required every group that our fight, our struggle, our marches, our protests Every group that has benefited from those things, if we required them to contribute something, we'd be in a whole different place. But we've been mousy. We've been letting them flip-flop us around like rag dolls instead of standing for the three things that we care about. So what if we shifted the lens to let go of owning the space, like the right wants to own the space, and then the far left wants to overhaul it completely, right? Blow it up. These have never been our fights. We don't want to blow it up. We don't want to own anything. We just want you to give us our fair shot to build what we know we can build. That's it. Leave us alone and let us thrive. Don't trip us. Don't steal our wins. Don't gaslight us about what we see. That's all we want. But now what we're watching is two factions of white America burn the whole house down because they're all trying to control it. None of this has anything to do with us. We are getting nothing right now. We are getting absolutely nothing. But we've got these white factions, these very vocal, and quite honestly, the reason people are as vocal as they are is because they're so entitled on the extremes. They're as entitled as each other. How entitled do you have to be to try to change the English language? We say that the right is entitled, but both extremes are white people. They're all entitled. They're so entitled that they don't believe that they ever have to come to the table to negotiate. They're so entitled that they believe that they can just stomp their feet and demand what they want. We did that because we didn't let them know that we are a different people with different values. Instead, we let them pull us into their foolishness. Black moderate tradition has been a faith-based, community-grounded, respect-driven tradition. Historically, we have been conservative left, but certainly not radical. We care about housing, education, safety, and fairness. That's it. And by fairness, I mean, let us thrive. Let us live. Let us build. So again, the extremes are not about us. They're about them. We have no business in either side. We have no business marching with the far left. We have no business signing on with the far right. And yes, I'm talking about these Black conservatives on YouTube and TikTok and wherever they are. We're not panicking over loss of status. We never had status. We're trying to get status. And if you want to talk about Black men as being the scourge of the earth, what are you doing to help? You're just going over there and beating up on your own people with people who hate you anyway. It's nonsensical. So one side wants to control your mouth. That's the left. One side wants to control your body. That's the right, right? This is the LGBTQIA plus on one side. This is the abortion issue. We are stuck in this shouting match between two wings of white America. But yet Black folks, we're just trying to live, eat, and raise our children without becoming statistics. So this is what I'll say. We need real moderates, Black, white, brown, all. Anyone willing to tell both extremes, sit down, you're not helping. Now, you have to be bold and brave to do this, because I will be the first person to say that they have made it extremely expensive to talk against either of them, but we've got to do it. Now, I know this is controversial as well. I bemoan the loss of the Black church. I think the role that the Black church played has not been replaced in our community by anything. If you want to talk about a conservative group of Black people, it's the Black church. But here's the other thing. The Black church has always served as the center of Black politics, organizers in the civil rights movement, right? It's where we got our idea of faith, family, dignity, respectability, moral clarity. These are things that have gotten lost. So whatever you feel about the Black church, and there are some problems in the Black church, no question. You have to accept that the demise of Black society has coincided with the decentralization of the church in our community. They were the organizers of civil rights. Dr. King was not trying to burn it down. He was trying to make it live up to its promises. And his viewpoint was very church-centered. When we look at Black culture right now, and whatever the problems are in Black culture, they have coincided with the displacement of the Black church. So I know that this is controversial in the Black community. I know that people have a lot of issues with the church, a lot of church hurt. People don't feel like they have church homes, but I say we need to bring back the Black church. We are not looking to overturn the system. We're just trying to force it to include us, right? We're socially moderate. Economically, we're mixed, but we're deeply pragmatic. We have one question: who is going to help my family? And if you're a politician and you can show that you're going to help Black families, you can get the Black moderate vote. I don't care your position on immigration. I don't care your position on the alphabet soup. I don't care your position on abortion. Can you help my family get ahead? We are pragmatic like that. Everything else is a distraction. And now we don't have any of them. Black people cannot feed their families. Abortion is shot. Alphabet soup is running amok. The right wing is batshit crazy. We have nothing. We've always been suspicious of extremes, right? The right excludes and oppresses us. The left, they talk big, but they don't deliver. We don't trust either side, and we're not supposed to be on other sides. We need to force politicians to meet us in the middle, to come to us, because when we go to them, it doesn't work. Here's the thing: on issues like school choice, gun ownership, gender ideology, we are more conservative than white liberals on these issues. We're not in the gender conversation for the most part. Gun ownership, Black people are all for it. School choice, we're all for it. We're more conservative than white liberals. So with this in mind, we should be requiring politicians on both sides to fight for our votes, not lump us in with these people who are far to the left of us. No way.